Want to bake some cookies that'll have everyone asking for the recipe? Well, today I'm going to share with you my personal classic cookie recipes. And a little spoiler alert, your taste buds will be thanking you. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Empty Pantry. I'm Amy and I'm here to help you turn your tight budget into delicious meals. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're talking about cookies. I'm going to share with you 3 of my personal classic cookie recipes that always have my family begging for more. These recipes are super simple, and the last one that I'm going to make is so crazy simple, it's going to blow your mind. A little spoiler alert, it only has 3 ingredients, and one of them is not flour. So if you're ready to be the most popular person in your house, go grab your sugar and eggs and maybe a glass of milk, because we're going to start baking up something sweet.
Of course, if we're talking classic cookies, the first one we need to make is the chocolate chip cookie. Next, we'll make an oatmeal raisin cookie, followed by a peanut butter cookie. These are absolutely delicious. Okay, let's start with the classic chocolate chip cookie. So in a mixer, I'm adding 2 sticks of butter. That's the equivalent to 16 tablespoons or 1 cup of butter. I did microwave my butter and it did melt a little tiny bit. Ideally, I would have left it on the counter to soften. So just a word of advice, if you're going to make some cookies, do that ahead of time. So I'm getting that a little bit more softened by letting it beat a little bit. You can see it stuck to the beater. So, okay, the idea was to get it softened up. Once that is in there, I'm going to add some sugar. So different cookie recipes have different amounts of sugar. My recipe is for half a cup of white sugar. So I'm going to mix that in there. And before I add my brown sugar, I'm going to add a few more ingredients. And there's no particular reason why I do it this way, I just always have. So I'm also going to add in 2 eggs and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So double what you would normally put in cookies. So 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then we definitely need some salt. So 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, not powder, but baking soda. And now that that's mixed in there, I am going to add 1 cup of brown sugar into my batter, followed by 2.5 cups of regular, this is just all-purpose flour. I would suggest not using like a wheat flour. That's going to add a really weird taste and texture. So just a nice white flour. It can be organic. It can be bleached, unbleached, whatever you have, just not wheat or some other weird flour. 2.5 cups of flour. And then once that's really well mixed together, I don't have any chunks of flour, I don't have chunks of butter or anything like that. I'm going to stop the mixer to add in my chocolate chips. I'm going to add in 2 cups of chocolate chips or a bag of chocolate chips, whatever you want. 2 cups is a little bit more than that. And then also, if you do want to add any walnuts or nuts at this time, this is when you add it. We are not going to put this through the beater. That would just beat those things up. So we're going to do this part by hand. We're going to get it really mixed well together. And once it's all incorporated, we're going to put it in the refrigerator for just 10 minutes. Refrigerating the dough allows more of a fluffy cookie. If you put it straight in the oven at this point, it's just going to really spread out. So if you like a really thin, crispy cookie, then don't refrigerate it. But if you like a little bit softer, chewier cookie, we're going to put the dough in the fridge for 10 minutes before we bake it. Okay, after we refrigerate it, we're going to scoop it into balls onto our trays and bake it. We're going to bake it at 375 for about 10 to 12 minutes. It really depends on your personal preference, how you like your cookies. If you want them crispy, then bake them longer. If you want them barely done, where you like them really chewy and doughy, then you're going to be right at that 10-minute mark. Just watch them carefully so they don't get burned. You do want a little bit of brown around the edge, maybe just a little bit of tan color if you like them more on the chewy side. However you enjoy them, that's how long you bake them. But in general, it's 10 to 12 minutes. So that is my classic chocolate chip cookie recipe. I have been making this recipe for years, and everyone in my family really enjoys it. I don't even try other recipes anymore because this one is so good. I don't know about you, but one of my absolute favorite cookies is an oatmeal raisin cookie. I don't know why I love them so much, but I could eat these until I was sick. I absolutely love oatmeal raisin cookies. So for this batter, we're going to start with 14 tablespoons of softened butter or slightly melted from the microwave because I forgot to soften it. Now, 14 tablespoons is not a 2 full sticks of butter. It's 2 tablespoons short of 2 sticks of butter. So keep that in mind, not 2 full sticks. 14 tablespoons of butter. To this, we're going to add half a cup of white sugar and then 3/4 of a cup of a brown sugar. And we're going to get that nice and mixed together, well incorporated. We don't want any chunks. Sometimes that brown sugar tends to clump up. We're going to want to make sure that those clumps are all gone if you have any. Then once that's mixed up, we're going to add in 2 eggs and we're going to get that nice and beat up really well. To that, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And to this recipe, we're only going to add half a teaspoon of salt and we're going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So it makes a really nice taste. For our flour, we're going to need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Once again, I would not use a wheat flour. I don't think that that would be very good. I have not tried to use like a gluten-free flour, so I don't know how the texture would turn out. Here I'm using just a general unbleached all-purpose organic flour. Then of course we need some oatmeal. Now you can add the oatmeal with the beater still going. If you're using a hand beater, I don't think I would do that. I think it would mush up the oatmeal a little bit too much, but this with this big mixer paddle, it's fine to add the oatmeal. So we're gonna add 3 cups of oatmeal. We're gonna get that nice and mixed up. Not too long though, just enough so it's incorporated well with the beginning ingredients that we put in there. And then we are going to stop it to add in our raisins because I do think that the paddle would demolish some of the raisins and I definitely don't want to do that. These are homemade raisins and they're super yummy. I definitely don't want to ruin any of those. So 1 cup of raisins. If you like a nut in your oatmeal raisin, a walnut would be good. You could add those at this time as well. And similar to our last recipe, we do want to refrigerate this for 10 minutes for the same reason. If it's the batter right now and you bake it, it is going to spread out a little bit more. If you want a more fluffy cookie, then we need to refrigerate it for at least 10 minutes. You can go longer if you like, but at least 10 minutes to get that butter a little bit more hardened up. And then we'll take those out and we'll put them on a tray, scoop them out into individual balls. Or if you don't have a little scooper like this, you can just use your hands. You just want to use maybe a teaspoon or a tablespoon so the size is consistent. And we do that so that the baking time is consistent. You don't want a giant cookie that's going to take longer and then a small cookie that's going to burn by the time the giant cookie is done. So consistent sizes on a sheet. If you wanted to do a tray of big ones and a tray of little ones, you could totally do that, but don't put them all on the same tray. We're going to bake these at 350 for 8 to 10 minutes, similar to the chocolate chip cookies. If you want them to be crispier, then you can bake them a little bit longer. If you want them soft and doughy, do them for 8 minutes. These baked for like 9 minutes on this day when I made these. So we kind of like them kind of in between, a little bit chewy. And then once they're baked, you are free to eat them. These are very, very good warm. Be careful not to burn your mouth. Don't eat them right out of the oven. I've done that, burned my tongue. It was not good because then I couldn't taste the next one that was cooled off. So after they're cooled, just a couple of minutes, enjoy these oatmeal raisin cookies. Okay, now we're gonna make those peanut butter cookies. And you guys, this recipe blew my mind the first time someone told me about it. I did not believe it, but now it's the only way that I make peanut butter cookies. So we're gonna start with 2 eggs. Now the order is very important on this because if you do it in a different way, they don't seem to turn out right. So we're gonna start with our 2 eggs and we're gonna get those beat up for about a minute and a half before we add 2 cups of white sugar. And then we're going to let this beat for a while, about 3 minutes. What we're looking for is something that looks kind of fluffy. It's going to be a very light yellow color. And once it gets to that point, like I said, it's about 3 minutes. Then we're going to add our peanut butter. I have used Skippy and Jif and organic. It doesn't seem to matter. They always turn out well. Today I'm using organic. It's straight up 100% peanuts with nothing added to it. And these turned out delicious. So whatever kind of peanut butter your family likes is going to work in this recipe. I think that the store, the Jif and the Skippy type of peanut butters maybe taste a little bit better, but these are a little bit healthier because it's just 100% peanuts, no extra salt or sugar or anything like that. So we're going to add 2 cups of peanut butter, and then we're just going to beat it just enough to get it incorporated. Once again, we're going to put these in the fridge. About 10 minutes, longer is better, but on this recipe, it's especially important that you do refrigerate them because peanut butter cookies shouldn't be super, super thin unless you really like them that way, but in general, they're not that way. So refrigerate it for at least 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we can take it out of the fridge and we can scoop it into little balls. Once again, we want this really consistent. So if you don't have a little scooper like this, then just use your hands, a spoon, and make them consistent little, meatball sizes. Once they're all on the tray, we need to get them in that crisscross classic peanut butter cookie pattern. And we're going to do this by using a fork. Now, I have learned that a little bit of water really helps with this. So I use a little tiny bowl or cup. I dip my fork in before I do my crisscross pattern. And I found that it does about 2 cookies before needing to be re-dipped in the water. But I found this really helps with the process. It makes it go really fast. Otherwise, you're constantly trying to get that cookie out of the prongs of the fork. And then you mess up your cookies and they're not near as pretty. So I highly recommend using the water and the fork technique. It works very, very good. We're going to cook these, or bake them, for 8 minutes at 375. I don't find that a variation helps with this. This is like a perfect classic peanut butter cookie right at the 8-minute mark. If you wanted them super crispy, you could do maybe 9 minutes, but these bake very fast. You will smell like a burnt peanut smell if they are baking too long. So just really pay attention. Don't just think, oh, they can be in the oven for a little bit more while I go and change the laundry out, because they will burn quite easily and then they taste kind of funny. And I guess unless you like burnt peanut butter cookies, that could be a thing, I guess. But anyways, once you take them out of the oven, do let them cool off. These, because of the sugar and the peanuts, they are very, very hot when they come out of the oven. You'll want to let them rest for at least a couple of minutes before diving into these. They're very good. They're very addictive. And especially since they're only 3 ingredients, it makes them very easy to make, as a last minute, oh, I want cookies. So I hope you enjoy this 3-ingredient peanut butter cookie recipe.
So there you have it, 3 classic cookie recipes. Did that last one surprise you that it was only 3 ingredients? I know it surprised me the first time I made them. I couldn't believe there was no flour. As always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I have lots more recipes to share with you. So until next time, happy baking. Bye.